Hello everyone, I'm the Weather Dude, welcome back, and today we are talking about the latest upcoming snowstorm threat. Before we get started with the video though, if you guys have not already, please consider subscribing. It really does help my channel grow. I want to thank you guys so much for 2,000 subscribers. We've flown past, and hopefully we can hit our next goal of 3,000 subscribers soon. And also, to help this video reach more people, please consider liking and sharing it as well. And let's get into the video now. And as always, please be sure to stay tuned for the whole video to get the best weather content. And I wouldn't call this more of an upcoming winter storm event. I call it more incoming because the snow will literally be here like for some people in 12 hours or less. So we're going to be talking about Winter Storm Quay today, the upcoming major snowstorm that we have. And it's going to bring major impacts on the I-95 corridor and pretty much points east. Now, northwest of 95, you will get snow. Again, where that low tracks is still very tricky forecast. And also, our temperatures will be very moderate for this event. So just keep that in mind. All right, well, let's get started here looking at some of the, starting off with the oscillations, okay? PNA, again, this is how this pattern is going to continue because we're going to have 7 more chances for storms in the east, as you guys know. Through mid-February, the PNA will be up, all right? The NAO, though, will be down, but then going up through mid-February. So we'll see if that affects the pattern, all right? But then the AO, look how low that stays all the way through mid-February. So that is going to keep the Arctic air in place. And trust me, it's going to get cold for a lot of people, all right? Very, very cold, all right? Now, if you look at the Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day outlook from February 12th to the 16th, you can see that the cold air is pretty much locked in for everywhere except the southwest. All right, and not only is it going to be cold, but we're going to have above average precip for the east coast and for the northwest coast as well as the northern plains. Kind of like how it's looking right now, right? We got storms come up across this region, right? They kind of fade here, and then they just regenerate on the east coast. So that's kind of what the pattern is going to be, right? It's how a lot of these systems are coming together. Now, the 8 to 14 day outlook, we're going all the way through February 20th at this point, and there's even not only is there blue, but there's dark shades of blue, right? 70% plus chance, high confidence in the east that it's going to be below average. How much? Obviously, we don't know. The darker colors, again, just means we have a higher confidence. And the precipitation, again, for the northwest and for the mid-Atlantic and southeast, we still have a chance at above average precipitation. All right, now I wanted to show you this map. So this is basically from the Weather Prediction Center, and this is the chance that you will see 4 inches or more of snow from the storm system, right, through the day Sunday. Now, the highest chance to see 4+ inches, right, 4 inches or more, will be Hartford, all right, like Hartford and Providence, all right, and just west of Boston. That's where we have a 70 to 80% chance to see 4 inches or more. But you can see, in general, all right, like Boston, New York, Philly, all right, not Baltimore, D.C., but Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. Pretty much all those locations have more than a 50% chance to see more than 4 inches. And more than 4 inches, I would count that as a good moderate to major event, right? And then, of course, down through the Appalachian Mountains, we still got about a 45-50% chance to see 4 inches or more. All right, and you can go all the way up to 8, 12. What's your chances of 6 inches or more, right? What are the chances of that? The highest chances seem to be Hartford to Providence of seeing maybe 50 to 60% chance of seeing over a half a foot, but the chance is not gone for New York, for Philly, right? You guys, that's still a 30 to 40% chance. Boston, 40 to 50. So there is still a chance you could see a few isolated spots that could see more than 6 inches or more. Now, of course, if winter storm warnings are issued for a lot of people on my down to 95, and of course, your exact details in your winter storm warning will, of course, depend on what National Weather Service office you have. But I'm reading here, and quote, in the winter storm warning, now this is pretty much safe for everybody because this is more of a broad statement to the entire 95 quarter. So, and I quote, a moderate to heavy band of snowfall will overspread the area Sunday morning, and of course the snow will continue in through early afternoon. But get this, the snowfall rates of where this heavy band sets up, that could be on the 95, it could be just northwest of 95, it could be even southeast of 95. All right, it all depends on where that low tracks, but snowfall rates in this band could reach 2 inches per hour. That is insane. Now, the good news is this won't be lasting for very long, right? Like, it's not like this is going to last a whole 24, 36 hours. So 2 inches an hour of snowfall rates, I mean, do the math. That's a lot of snow. It's not going to last that long, but snowfall rates, and it won't be 2 inches an hour like for 4 hours straight. Like, you'll get like little pockets of 2 inch an hour snowfall rates, right? So you might get, it may only last a half an hour. You may only last a half hour in that band, and you might get 1 inch, right? But either way, 2 inch an hour snowfall rates, and some areas could exceed 7 inches, all right, if you get under said heavy band. So definitely something to be watching out for. Perfect depiction here for the Weather Channel. Again, where that low tracks, you're going to have the heavy snow, or moderate to heavy snow, and then, of course, closer to the coast, where it's warmer, you're going to have wintry mix. And even where it is going to be snowing, guys, you have to remember, temperatures are going to be pretty moderate. Like, I know for me, it might not even get down to freezing overnight tonight and when the snow starts. It might be 33 the whole time, or close to 35, and even up to 36 when the snow ends. All right, so for some people, it may end as a very warm snow mix, maybe rain. It might even end as a couple showers for some people. But nonetheless, there will still be a lot of snow. All right, so we got a lot of models to talk about here. We got the first model pulled up. We have the GFS model, right, our American model. All right, and as you can see, here comes the snow. And again, where those heavier bands set up, right? Like, of course, DC is in some heavy snow, but DC might stay in the upper 30s the entire time. Like, we're talking 36, 37 for most of the time. And like, the snow, if it falls heavy enough, it can stick on the roads. But when you get that warm, 37, 38, 39, even if it falls heavy, it's going to be hard for it to stick on the road. And even the grassy surfaces, it might even be difficult for DC. So I think that's why I think this will be more of an event for Philly, for New York, and for Boston. And if you want to throw in Hartford as well. All right, so again, the snow is going to be continuing through Sunday. Sunday mid-morning, afternoon, it's going to start whisking out of here. Maybe and the Cape will definitely be getting hit hard as well. All right, the outermost portions of the Cape might even mix in with some rain, but there will be some heavy snow out in the Cape. I think that's where we can see the highest totals, actually. So, and again, the GFS model pretty much says that, right? Like 9 to 12 inches, all right, out on the Cape and the islands, all right, where it doesn't mix with rain. And GFS really doesn't go very, I mean, they don't really show that much. Boston, maybe 3.5 inches, maybe 4 for New York, 4 for Philly. East and east of DC, maybe 4 or 5, but DC itself, maybe only 2 or 3 inches. So GFS really is kind of not so like strong on the system, right? And GFS has been very like up and down as well. European's been more constant, and the European, of course, I do like the European model as well. So here's the snow, 8 a.m. in the morning, and you can see, look where the heavier banding is, pretty much towards Washington. But again, temperatures will also be much higher in Washington, so just keep that in mind. And then, so you can see the darker blue region, right? The intervals are 6 hours, so of course I can't control that. But I want you to watch the dark blue region will move from just south of DC. Watch this dark blue area and watch how as I click the next loop, look how it goes towards Long Island. So that, basically, that black line I just drew is where that heavier band will track, all right? I just can't show you that because the intervals are 6 hours, and of course, one click is 6 hours. But the heavier band will move eventually across the Chesapeake, across Delaware, across New Jersey, even Southeast PA. You just can't see that in the intervals. Hopefully that makes sense. But the snow is still lasting through the early afternoon. By nighttime, right, after dinner, it'll probably be up in New England. It'll probably wrapping up from there. I mean, it's going to be a pretty quick mover. That's the one good thing, all right, keeping those snow totals. You know, because trust me, if this was lasting a while, the snowfall totals would be much, much different. Now, the European model snowfall totals, much more intact, right? Like it looks, the map just looks neater in general, right? Boston still 3 or 4, New York about 4, Philly about 5 inches, DC about 5 inches, and just south and east of there, where they say quote unquote banding will set up, over Virginia, that's where you can see 6 inches. All right, and then over the Cape and the Islands, of course, over 8 inches. That's probably where the heaviest snowfall will be. Kind of complete opposite what we had with Orlana, right? Where the Cape pretty much got nothing. It was pretty much just all rain, all right, with some snow mixing in. Now, our next model here we have is the NAM model, all right? And in NAM, all right, you can see that for some people, all right, especially in those metro city regions, because of course in the metro cities, of course temperatures will be a bit warmer because of all the pollution, etc. Now, it could start as rain, maybe even for Philly, and maybe even New York. I see some hints of green as well. But don't worry, the rain will not be lasting very long. Boom. You are right back in. You can see a darker blue here. Some of the heavier snowfall is going to crash over to heavy snow. It probably stay that way. Again, early morning, probably mid-morning through the early afternoon before by 8 p.m. I mean, it's basically off the coast, maybe over Maine. But in terms of like coastal New England and like coastal Northeast, it's pretty much off the coast at that point. And snowfall totals with the NAM model, all right, about 5.5 for Boston, maybe 6 for New York, 7 for Philly, and maybe 5.5 or so for DC. But southeast of there, NAM is putting the higher totals, which I don't really agree with because coastal locations like the Delaware Shore and Jersey Shore, like a foot of snow, I just don't see that happening. All right, temperatures will be way too warm for that. But up in the Cape, maybe could get a foot of snow. I can definitely not rule that out. That is definitely a possibility. But just notice, unlike with Orlando, where the heaviest snowfall was northwest of 95, you don't see that with this storm. All right, it's moved a bit far south and east, right? So, 95 might be in the spotlight in terms of maybe the heaviest totals thus far. All right, our next model we have is the RDPS model. Now, with Orlando, like I said, they were calling for like 30 inches across the Mid-Atlantic. They're pretty bullish. This time, not so much. I definitely do think this is a reasonable forecast run. Again, look at your heavier banding from basically Wilmington, Baltimore, and D.C., even Northern Virginia. That's where you see your heavier banding through 11 o'clock in the morning. And you can see, look, by 2 p.m., the heavier banding is already in Philly, and Wilmington, and Baltimore, and New York City as well. All right, and then now this particular model, has the snow lasting, though, through 5 p.m., right? Through mid-late afternoon. It's still going across the Delmarva. Of course, it's still going across coastal New England. That's as originally forecast. Could last a couple hours, maybe even a few hours longer, and that can make all the difference in your snow totals. Of course, movement of the system, how fast it moves will definitely impact snow totals, right? If it moves slower, more snow. If it moves faster, maybe slightly less snow. But nonetheless, snowfall totals, again, you got your 6 to 10 bullseye out in the Cape. A few inches up and down to 95 quarter. I think a good 4 to 6 widespread, and of course your localized regions, depending on what kind of banding we get. If we do get banding, all right, banding is expected to develop. Of course, I love looking at bands because where it sets up, that's where you get your heavier totals. Could exceed 7-8 inches in some spots near the 95 quarter. Now we have the GDPS. This is the Canadian model. Our DPS is kind of like a more high resolution, I guess, if you want to call it, version of that. But the models are because like the National Weather Service, and you look at all the hourly forecasts and the timing, have the snow starting and across the Mid-Atlantic, like right here, about 4 o'clock in the morning. But a lot of the models, like this is basically 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, and the snow is just creeping in. So the timing will definitely be, of course, if it's rush hour, that's not going to be very good news. But look at like late morning, early afternoon. There's the serious banding, basically from Trenton down through Smyrna. All right, and then look at also look at not the darker blue, but the pink. That's the really heavy stuff out there in the Cape. So, of course, when that low is strengthening, we'll get some heavier banding. And, of course, by night and overnight, it will be pretty much lifting off and out of here. Snowfall totals where that band does develop. As you can see, that particular band, 6-7 inches maybe for maybe Millville down through Smyrna. Again, a little bit too far south because look at the temperature forecast for those regions. Temperatures, of course, are going to be very warm, so keep that in mind as well. But a foot of snow, maybe even for the Cape and the Islands, again, is still a possibility. All right, so for our last two models, we're flipping over to tropical tidbits, as that's where these models are. And we have the RGEM, which RGEM and HRDPS, some high-resolution models. And, of course, here we have the heavier snow, again, moving kind of like up the 95 quarter and sort of in this direction, all right? Moving through the day, and maybe even ending as rain. Not many models hinting at that, but we could certainly maybe end as rain. Or maybe a few rain and snow showers mixed, I should say. All right, and then, again, by nighttime, pretty much after dinner, this storm is pretty much lifting off out to sea. 4 to 6, Northern Virginia as well. We got, again, pretty much that bullseye 6 to 10 out there in the around the Cape and the Islands. And, of course, you got your few inches up and down the 95 quarter. And our last model here we have is the HRDPS model, all right? And, again, look. You can see right around the Philly area, right? This is about 10 in the morning, maybe. You see some slightly darker blues, all right? And that's where your heavier precipitation will be, your heavier snow. But look at the Cape. Look at the magenta you're already starting to see develop here out towards the Cape and the Islands, all right? That's the banding we're talking about. 16, I don't think a foot and a half is I think that's definitely a little bit too far over. But 8 to 12 is certainly possible. The reason I don't think it's going to be a foot and a half is because I do think the snowfall rates will be very heavy. I agree with that, but it's not going to be lasting long enough, right? Most areas of snow will last about upwards of 12 hours. All right, but there will be some heavier snowfall, 4 to 6 inches. Now, you might think that's not really heavy snowfall, and it's not. But for the time that it's lasting, it's going to come down hard. It's going to come down quick, and it'll pretty much be over and done with pretty quickly. And if you live in the Mid-Atlantic, most of your snow, or some of it, will actually come while you're sleeping, all right? So overnight, hopefully I'll help the snow stick better, even if the temperatures are above freezing. So thank you guys for watching today's video. I am The Weather Dude signing off. Till next time, I will catch you guys in the next video.